So one of my friends asked me a really good question. He said, do you think that Ford should discontinue the standard output power stroke? And I feel like that's something we should discuss on the channel because I want to hear your thoughts too. I don't think they should discontinue it, but then again, maybe they should. In today's video, I do have a standard output, which is this white truck, and I also have this silver one, which is a high output. You can pretty much see the badge right there. I borrowed these trucks from Larry H. Miller, Super Ford here in Salt Lake City. Be sure to ask for Tim. He did help me with the keys today. Let's go ahead and check out the window stickers because we're gonna see the price difference on these engines. Unless you're buying a limited, the diesels are an option for the platinum down. Now, so on this truck, it has the standard output power stroke. It's going to be $10,495. Now, if you want the 355 or the 331, which comes standard, that is a possibility with this engine, unless you're getting a trimmer. On this side, you guys can see high output power stroke is $12,495. So that's $2,000 more for this red badge right here. I'm sure you guys know I was joking when I said that. Obviously, you're getting more than just a red badge. Now, let's go ahead and pop the hood. We're going to discuss this high output power stroke. Now, if you look under the hood of both trucks, you're not going to see really any differences on the engines, okay? I have to point them out, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Do you guys notice a difference on these engines? You guys pretty much see it all looks the same until, you ready for this? You see this. That is your coolant lines for the turbocharger. So this does have a water jacketed turbocharger, and that is why I would say most people should consider getting the high output, because on this engine the cooling is so much better. Now, again, if you walk over to this side, that's really the only thing missing on the standard output is those cooling lines that feed over to the turbocharger. Now, obviously, the reason why they don't have those cooling lines is because this truck has 500 horsepower and 1,200 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you are technical and you have to know the RPMs, I have to look it up because I can't remember. So as far as the RPMs go, that 500 horsepower comes on around 2,600 RPMs, and the 1,200 pound-feet of torque comes on around 1,600. And the reason for those cooling lines is this truck does have higher boost. Boost comes on around 35 PSI. So obviously, the more boost you have, the more heat you're going to generate, and that's why this truck has the better cooling. So if you bought a high output just for the cooling alone, that would make a lot of sense. Now, as far as the turbochargers go, they're pretty much the exact same. There's very minor differences in sizes of like the turbine wheel, but essentially they're the exact same. Now, as far as the fuel system goes, they are pretty much the same. The only difference is they did increase the displacement of the high pressure fuel pump. So there's just more volume flowing through because obviously you have more boost, you have more power, which means you need more fuel, and obviously you're going to need more air in the same case. Now, you guys heard about the water-cooled compressor, and the biggest difference between these engines also is the compression. So they did reduce the compression from 15.8 to 1 on the standard output down to 15.2 to 1 on this high output. And that's pretty much why the high output makes 25 more horsepower and 150 more pound-feet of torque. That's it. Now, as far as the transmissions go, these trucks have the exact same transmission, right? Exact same transmission. As far as the rear axles go, I mean, granted, one of these trucks is a 3/4 ton, one of these trucks is a 1 ton. Essentially, they could make a difference on the rear axle in regards to that, but I'm willing to bet you they're the exact same. Yep, they are the exact same 16-bolt rear axle. And the same thing goes for the tires. They don't change the tire capacity between the high output and standard output. But one thing that will change is the towing capacity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go online and show you guys what the towing capacity is for the standard output and the high output for the 3/4 ton and 1 ton trucks. Starting off with the F250, here's the crew cab standard bed. This is going to be for conventional towing, and the standard output has a 22,000 pound towing capacity. And then here it is for the long bed. So long bed does lose a little bit of capacity by just 100 pounds. Now for the high output, you guys can see 331, 355 for both. And all the way down, it's gonna be the exact same. And the gross combined rate weight is the only that's gonna really change. So it's 1,000 pounds higher for the high output. For fifth wheel and gooseneck, for standard output, 331 axle, 15.6 for his fifth wheel. Gooseneck is 15.7, so it just goes up by 100 pounds here. But notice down below, when you go to the 355, it's 20,500 pounds for fifth wheel and then 21.6 for gooseneck. So pretty big jump, I would say, for that 355 between fifth wheel and gooseneck. But on that high output, I didn't say this earlier, but this is for a trimmer, okay? And 331, it's going to be 20,500 pounds for fifth wheel, and then gooseneck is 21.6. And it doesn't change for that 355. So unless you're thinking about running a taller tire, there's really no reason to go to that 355 if you're looking at towing capacity. For the 1 ton conventional towing, standard output, you guys see the axle ratios. Here are the numbers. For the high output 331, 355 is 23.9, so it goes up a little bit. And then you have 24,000 for that 355 locker. For fifth wheel gooseneck, standard output 331, 355. You guys see there's the max for both, 22.9, 23,000. And then same story, 22.9 here. And then 22.6 for gooseneck. And actually they have a 23,000 number here for if you have the right wheel and tire set up. Down below, this is going to be for the 355, 25.9, and then 27,000 pounds. That's a big number for a single rear wheel. Now, if you care to see it, here it is for the F350 full wheel drive. So 27,000 for conventional. Okay, high output is 27 and 28,000 depending on the axle ratio that you pick. Down below, this is for fifth wheel. So big numbers here. So 31,300, 35,200. I mean, these numbers are pretty much more than what you see on the cab and chassis trucks as well. And then down below, 31.8, 35.8. So there is a difference in the towing capacities for the standard output and the high output by a large margin depending on the configuration. Up next, we have to talk about the payload capacity of these trucks. Now, as I mentioned, this is a 3/4 ton, so it's the F250. You guys see the axle ratings? 6,340 pounds, 5,600 pound in the front. 11.4 is the gross vehicle weight rating, and then here's the payload of this truck, 3,148 pounds. If you're looking at a 1 ton, these are both long beds, by the way. You guys see here, 12.4 is the gross vehicle weight rating. They do increase the rear gross axle to 7,230 pounds. 4,316 pounds is the payload. So obviously the 1 ton is going to have a higher gross axle rating because of the 1 ton, not because of the engine. So whether you get a F250, F350, the axle ratings do not change. So here's the thing I will tell you. As I said earlier, I basically finished the video off. I said the only reason why you would probably get the high output is because you literally like the fact that it has better cooling. Literally, that's the biggest reason why I would buy the high output over the standard output. But the reality is, for $2,000, you're buying just a little bit better cooling, a little bit more horsepower, just a little bit more horse, just only 25, and then 150 pound-feet more torque. Is that really worth $2,000? Now, for some people, they're gonna tune their truck, and I'm willing to bet you'll be able to get that and some out of the standard output, right? And obviously someone's going to say in the comment section, well, you could do the same for the high output, but remember, you have to spend $2,000 more for that engine. which pretty much sums up they probably should keep around the two options simply because of the cost. Now, here's my theory. I'm willing to bet you because of the research and development that they put into that new high output, they had to figure out how to keep the temperatures down, right? And they also had to make sure the components that are already on the truck don't break because of that extra power. And that's why you're going to pay more for aftermarket performance parts, because of the research and development. And I'm willing to bet you in 3 years, because I don't know if you guys watched the last video I did, they are looking to add a hybrid powertrain in the future. That's what Ford has released. So it wouldn't shock me if in that time they've made enough money to basically just offer the high output, and it'll probably just go up just a, maybe a few $100 over the standard output. And as you guys know, Ram decided to go, or it's speculated, and I think it's been confirmed, that Ram is also going to be going to just one Cummins. So no more high output Cummins, probably from 2025 on. So yeah, in the next video I did a MPG run, and I also did a acceleration test for both engines. So who do you guys think got to 60 the fastest? Here's what I'll tell you. Before you type your answer, think about the ECM. How is that power getting delivered? Because 9 times out of 10, when you have too much horsepower and torque, which in my opinion these trucks do have a lot of horsepower and torque, there's always some torque management that happens. So in my humble opinion, I think some of you guys will be shocked at the differences. Now, let me just go ahead and say this now. I do live a little bit higher above elevation, so that is going to affect the performance. So before someone says in the next video, oh man, you're not launching the trucks correctly, I'm higher above elevation. You also have to keep in mind, whatever someone's getting for 0 to 60, it could be a specific track that they're at, a specific elevation. There's so many variables. And I've yet to see many guys get the 0 to 60 claims that the manufacturer puts out. But yes, super excited about that. So in the future, I will try to find a tech to show you guys some differences. I did see some other differences under the hood, and I wonder if you guys caught some of them. I didn't mention one of them because it was pretty obvious, but I wanted to talk about the coolant because that's the one thing I could actually explain and discuss in that video. But something else was different. If you know what it was, let me know in the comment section. But I hope you guys liked the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Can't wait to show you guys the performance difference in the real world. Peace.